I'm tired of watching TV with watered down and superficial use of Hindu rituals and South Asian spirituality, like with the White Lotus season 1. I've been dying to talk about Hindu rituals and South Asian culture showing up in our media and what that means for you and the overall viewing experience. Hi, I'm Tejal, a yoga teacher, podcaster, and consultant for yoga and media. Let's look at season 1 of The White Lotus, an HBO show that is dark, funny, and very intense. Season 1 came out in 2021, and while every single episode was wildly uncomfortable to watch, the most compelling parts of the show were the different cultures used to tell multiple stories. Here we have Belinda Lindsay as this compassionate, sweet manager of the resort, portrayed by Natasha Rothwell. And there's Tanya McQuaid-Hunt as a wealthy, unstable woman, portrayed by Jennifer Coolidge. Throughout the season, Belinda becomes a spiritual and emotional caretaker for Tanya because someone needs to help this white woman out. There's a moment in the spa when Belinda sings the Gayatri Mantra, a highly revered, well-known Sanskrit chant to Tanya. We never really learn where Belinda's relationship to the mantra comes from, which stood out to me, and it wasn't that surprising either, given how often Eastern spiritual traditions get repackaged and sold in wellness spaces, on social media, by influencers, all over really. Maybe Mike White, the writer and director of the show, intentionally chose not to explain her connection. For me, that missing background reflects the larger trend where spiritual practices are often shared without much discussion of their cultural or religious roots. Where do they tell us this was Sanskrit being used? Without a translation of the chant, you end up experiencing the intimacy of the moment and feel the emotion of the chant, but aren't ever given access to the real deeper meaning. When characters speak in non-English languages on other shows, though, we're usually given subtitles so we can understand what's being said. Take the show Heated Rivalry, for example. During a nearly 4-minute Russian monologue, the translation's shown on screen. The same happens in the Chinese language scenes during a wild club night in the movie Joyride. Remember the drinking game they played? The word Gayatri represents Gai, to sing, and Thri, to protect. Chanting it continuously is said to send healing energy, spiritual vibrations, and protection to the chanter, which we know Tanya needs in the show. So this mantra or chant is a call for wisdom, clarity, guidance, and a deeper connection to the divine. Instead of exploring this ritual as like a real spiritual practice, the show mostly uses it as a superficial tool for Tanya's healing journey. And for someone unfamiliar with this type of practice, I'm not sure what they'd be getting out of this scene other than labeling it as foreign or exotic and probably woo-woo pseudo-spiritualism. Growing up, I shared a room with my aunt, my Masi, and every morning she would take out her tiny Gayatri Mantra chanting book and recite the mantra over and over. I can still picture that so clearly, nearly 3 decades later. In the show, Tanya thinks to do some call and response practice as she hears the chant, and with Tanya being Tanya, that moment becomes instantly hilarious. Belinda quickly stops her, but if the writer was interested in the actual purpose of the mantra, protection energy for this character, it would make more sense if Tanya tried to learn it for her own recitation. Later, Belinda and Tanya take a sunset cruise because Tanya has decided to spread her mother's ashes into the water. Tanya is wearing head to toe, all black, fancy and formal Indian clothes, and no one comments on her outfit choice. I was stunned by this costume because we were seeing another surface level visual reference without any explanation to culture. The practice of spreading ashes into the water, or ash immersion, is known as Asti Visarjan. It's the ritual of immersing cremated remains, or ashes, or ashti, into a spiritually significant water source. This practice marks the final physical rite performed for the departed. And traditionally, white is worn during funeral rites, as white represents purity, the soul's liberation or moksha, and the detachment from material life. In March 2025, my family and I completed Asti Visarjan in India and spread my dad's ashes in 2 different bodies of water, the Narmada River in Gujarat and the Ganga River in Uttarakhand. Both rivers have creation stories connected to Shiva. Narmada is said to be the perspiration of Shiva, and the Ganga is named after the goddess Ganga, and is said to free the soul through connection with the water, through ashes. Having experienced the ritual firsthand with my family, I recognized how much spiritual meaning existed beneath the surface of what the show really represented. Then in the final scene here, Belinda sings the Gayatri Mantra a second time to Tanya. again, with no context or translation. These scenes showed me yet another example of Hindu traditions and South Asian culture being folded into luxury wellness spaces and glamorized experiences with their vital stories and meanings left behind. It worked to create a mood of spirituality, eccentricity, and heightened emotional intensity, yet it felt like a missed opportunity to help you as the viewer who's invested in these characters understand what these practices actually mean. The more often culture and rituals show up without explanation, the easier it'll become to forget why they mattered in the first place, and the easier it'll become for their spiritual significance to be minimized and erased over time. It's already something I see happening everywhere. The success of shows like The White Lotus demonstrates how easily cultural and spiritual practices can be consumed visually without ever going deeper. And what continues to concern me is that you and audiences everywhere begin to see the aesthetic without ever encountering the meaning behind it. So I want to know, what do you think about the way these rituals were incorporated into The White Lotus? How do you feel about the missing context within the show? And what other shows or scenes do you want me to review next for their portrayal of culture? Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to this channel for more reviews.